everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. Hey, everyone. At Zone to Speak, I know how important it is to stay healthy, strong, and ready for every ride, workout, or adventure. That's why I have gotten some exclusive discounts on products designed for athletes. First up, Cyclist. Their Smart Pump is a game changer. Compact, efficient, and perfect for keeping your tires road and gravel ready. Get 10% off the Smart Pump and 5% off everything else at cyclist.com. They have radar tail light, smart fans, trainers, and more. Next, 35% off Frey Skincare. Their products are specially designed for skin that sweats, perfect for athletes like you and me. I have personally been using Frey for many years and I love it. Then there is 10% off Cold Age. Their vitamins and supplements are designed to fuel your body, helping you recover faster and ride longer. I personally take the women's vitamin and creatine. Finally, 15% off Omre supplements. Whether you're training, recovering, or pushing for peak performance, their high-quality supplements have got you covered. And there's something special from me, your host. As an integrative health, nutrition, and sports nutrition coach, I am thrilled to offer all of our listeners 25% off personalized nutrition coaching with Genki Wellness. If you want to optimize your health, boost performance, or simply feel your best, head to bemoregenki.com and use the code ZONE2SPEAK. For everything else, head to the links in the episode description, use the code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout, and let these amazing products support you and your journey to better health and performance. And now for the episode. Welcome to Zone to Speak. Today, I am thrilled to host a truly extraordinary athlete, Jason Osborne. As a silver medalist at the 2013 World Rowing Championships and an Olympian in lightweight double sculls at the 2016 Rio Games, Jason dominated the waters before shifting gears to the world of cycling. From joining Dotinic Quickstep to excelling at Alpecin Dotinic, Jason has showcased his talent on the road and in the virtual racing scene, where he continues to lead the charge and is the 2024 world champion. In this episode, we will dive into Jason's transition between sports, his experiences as a professional road cyclist, and his decision to focus on e-sports, a discipline he's redefining with every pedal stroke. Plus, I will explore what drives his passion, his training insights, and the future of cycling in the digital age. Let's welcome Jason to Zone to Speak.
Hey.
So how are you? I hear you recently are settling in Girona?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, after spending some time here over the December, January, me and my girlfriend, we wanted to have a look how life is over here and then decide on possibly making the move for longer term. So I think we were both quite clear in our decision that we quite like it over here. And yeah, we just now got an apartment and looking to move here for at least the next 1 or 2 years. And then to hopefully have a better training environment, have a good cycling community. And we think it's gonna improve our daily life a lot, actually. So yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations on the apartment. Your girlfriend, Kate McLeod, she's been on the podcast, also super talented cyclist. Yeah, you can't go wrong being in Girona, as you know, you can train all year long. Curious to see how that plays. You know, we can talk a little bit about the esports, but first I just would like to know if you can take us back into rowing days. How did competing in the 2016 Olympics shape your mindset and approach to sports?
Well, it was like my very first Olympics. As I was quite young still. I think I was still I was 19 years old going to the Olympics. So yeah, I was very young still, and by that time, like, of course, we were eager to achieve something there in Rio, but we also knew that we were quite young and that we had to dig out something very special to, yeah, especially get on the podium there in Rio as a 19-year-old. So although we were quite quite motivated, yeah, it was still a bit too early for us. So did end up with the ninth place there, which wasn't what we expected or what we would have wished to have achieved there. But yeah, it formed like the motivation definitely for the next few years to come. And then after the Rio Olympics, the dream of getting an Olympic medal continued and was always the motivation. Every training session we went out on the waters, you had that Olympic medal in mind, and that's what you worked for over the upcoming years, and to hopefully, yeah, be on that podium at the next Olympics. Huh? So yeah, it kind of formed our whole motivation around training and the mindset and everything. Yeah.
It's still an incredible achievement just to make it to the Olympics. I mean, there's so many athletes out there that, try so hard to make it to the team. It must have been an incredible feeling to make to the team, be in this environment and compete at such a high level. And how did you make the transition from rowing? How did cycling come up in your life?
Well, like you see it more often, like nowadays in many endurance sports. Yeah, athletes tend to use the bike as a way to get in the miles, get in loads of volume without like creating huge fatigue, because it's a pretty easy sport for the joints, for the whole body. You basically can ride for hours if you go at the right pace without really taking a lot out of your body. So it's a way of putting in the volume, putting in the training hours to get on the next level and to kind of form your plateau on where you want to build up on. So it's a way of making sure that you create the foundation to get better and better. It's like a pyramid. Like you have the bottom layer has to be wide, otherwise the peak is never gonna be that high. So it enables you to make sure you keep getting stronger, keep getting faster. So that's why you see it more and more in any other kind of enduring sports. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen even F1 drivers are doing cycling now as a complement to their training. So I guess that's what you started doing when you were rowing, and then you fell in love with cycling because you made WorldTour. You were in Alpecin team, for example. So it wasn't just something that you enjoyed. It's something that you excel at it and got a great opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the usual way. First, like our rowing coach was like, yeah, you need to start cycling. You need to implement it on a daily basis into the rowing training. And then, it just became more and more passionate. Like you started chasing some Strava KOMs or comparing yourself to some professionals. And then, kind of like at least saw the physical potential that cycling also had for me, because I kept getting better and stronger and stronger. And then kept like comparing myself to like I said, some very unique Strava comps even, and like beating the times of the pros when they went up in the race, for example. And that was like a big push and for the motivation also on the cycling side. And came the esports world championships in 2021, the first one, which was supposed to be in 2020, I believe, but then during COVID they got postponed a year. And then
Yeah,
that
that
kind
was
of
the inaugural, right? UCI Cycling
exactly,
Esports.
the very first edition. and kind of kickstarted my cycling career because with that title, of course, you got like loads of attention and from the media and everything. And then, I kind of like made my way into the more professional scene due to that. But it still was a process, and it wasn't like that title just got me into the World Tour straight away. It was like a process of like asking teams and over again, and like getting declined and then asking again. And it wasn't like that I got offered the contract straight away. So luckily I was then joining an agency. So I got an agent by that time, and then things kind of kept rolling a bit faster towards the World Tour, but it still took a while to get there.
Okay, yeah, so it wasn't overnight. But just going back to esports, how do you start that? I guess most of us are somewhat doing some indoor training to be more structured, or because of the weather is too hot or too cold. But how do you even know about competitions, and how you become, I guess, your country champion and then go to this world championship? I guess during the pandemic, most of us were indoors doing that. Is that why this started?
Yeah, I think it also has to do a bit with the mentality of a rower. Like, as rowers are much like a lot focused on, just like their physical abilities. Like they're just limited to basically the better you perform, the stronger you get, the better your results will be. And that may not be the case in cycling on the road straight away. Like you cannot compare that 100% because in cycling there's so many more variables that determine success or not. So it's not as easy as in rowing. So you always have that mindset from rowing, like if I get stronger physically, I will get better results. I will get this and that. So you've got that mindset. And then, of course, like rowers also spend a lot of time on the indoor rowing machines during winter, which is basically also just you and the machine, just like as you were on a trainer on Swift. So there's a connection already.
Yeah, you have that mental strength to staying on the hamster wheel, if I can say that.
Yeah. So you build a tolerance towards like the monotonous, let's say, just way of training, competing even, because we also have competitions on the indoor machine in the winter. So they're quite brutal, but it's about the same than as if you were on the trainer. Yeah. And then lastly, I'd say like I'm a good weather cyclist. I don't like cycling in rain. And that of course is also a reason I tend to be more on the trainer, at least when the weather is bad.
Yeah, I empathize with that, being spoiled with living in places with good weather. So when it's bad weather, it's a real mental challenge for me to get outside. And sometimes just for the structured training, for me, it's also easier to hit the numbers I need indoors than outdoors. But I definitely don't have the mental strength you have for the esports. I think it's definitely another level. And how do you see the esports has evolved since then, since your 2021 competition to your 2024 world victory?
Oh, well, like there's been a lot of changes actually. If you look back on the last 4 editions, first one was like kind of like nobody knew a lot about it actually. And it was just like to draw attention to most people. And that kind of kickstarted it. But then there were like loads of changes in structure of the race format itself. It started off with the first esports was like a 1 hour race. And then with like the Swift KOM, which is a 1 minute climb at the very end. And then on top was the finish. That was basically it. And then Swift came up with the idea of doing like a mini series of 3 races. So you have like 3 races, like 10 to 20 minute long, and with like 5 to 10 minute breaks in between. to, make it more exciting maybe and more entertaining for people that don't know a lot about esports. So you've got like more action involved. You have elimination sprints as well, where like last over the line gets eliminated. And then there's definitely was some thinking going through on how to make it more exciting. Yeah, and then like this kind of format of this mini series of races kind of still remains up until today. Like very last edition of the World Champs in October in Abu Dhabi was pretty much the same. It was 3 mini races. Yeah, but I would say like the most important change that was that it was the first ever live held esports World Champs in October last year in Abu Dhabi, and that really, I think showed the potential. It showed the potential the sport has actually, because you never really saw it with it being like just only online. People were following on YouTube, but now actually with the live event there in Abu Dhabi, everyone who was interested or could just show up there and watch the whole thing live. So, and it was a big show, like very professionally set up, like a big stage, big arena, and it was quite professionally, I have to say. So that was a big step, like comparing from the first ever esports worlds to the last one. Yeah, it shows like what potential it actually has.
Yeah, I was watching on YouTube and like I saw it, how big it was, how many people were there. It looked really, really cool. And I was so curious to know how everything happened from start to getting to this event. So how is your training routine on esports? Is it any different than traditional road cycling?
Well, like compared to the training as a World Tour cyclist, I guess like you're a bit lower on volume, so you're not training as much hours a week than as you were as a World Tour rider, because you just simply don't need to. The races are 1 hour long maximum, not 5 hours, 6 hours, so you don't need that really, really high volume. However, I still like to maintain a decent volume just because I think I would just want to keep my base still quite high to keep building and not stagnating over time. So I keep still riding some decent volume a week. But then, like the structure itself in the intervals and stuff has changed a little bit. Obviously, it's more explosive because most e-races are decided in explosive moments.
Okay.
If it's not a hilly course with like a long climb, it's mostly a punchy course. So you need to have the punchiness, and then therefore you need to implement like lots of VO2 work in your training, and the neuromuscular system you have to keep developing and keep getting better. But I still do some of the same sessions or similar sessions that I did in the World Tour, of course. Like some parts of the training haven't changed, but like the parts I've just mentioned, like the volume and maybe a bit more the focus toward the punchiness, that is the main thing that has changed, I'd say.
Okay, that makes sense. And how was your time at Dutchnik Quickstep and Alpecin Dutchnik influence your career?
Yeah, well, like at Quickstep, I was starting as a stagiaire, so it was pretty much like, dip into waters and test the waters. So just to see if this is really for me. And it was kind of rough, I have to say. As a rower, I haven't done many road races or mainly just amateur races. So straight away jumping into like World Tour races was a big shock
Intense.
to the system. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like getting my first crashes, and I was like, wow, this is some dangerous stuff here. And then also like the fatigue you got, I just wasn't used to it, because as a rower, you have those 6-minute races and that's it. And then you're done. Whereas if you do like a World Tour race, especially stage races, you have a week of everyday 5-hour races. that was just a complete shock for the system. And I was like really fatigued in the beginning, but yeah, I just kept going and just accepted it and just thought, okay, it's going to take some time to adapt. Just keep at it, keep going. And then it kind of got better and you got used to the fatigue on the way. Yeah.
And you participated on Tour de Austria. I'm not sure if you did any other tour. If you can share your notable moments, from victory to challenge that you had to overcome.
Yeah. So like cycling is, it's not easy. It's not determinable. It's like you can have the best preparation. You can be in your peak shape, but you go to a stage race and just one variable turns out not in your favor, let's say, and then your whole ambitions suddenly like disappear. So like for me, we can talk about that later, but that was like also maybe one of the reasons why I decided to leave the World Tour in the end. But yeah, that's definitely a part of cycling that I don't really like. But however, my most successful race, as you mentioned, Tour of Austria, second in GC, and then I think a third and a fourth place on 2 stages. That was like one of the stage races for me, actually, where everything went well. I didn't have any errors. And then with that result, you can see what my capabilities are, I guess. So I had some potential, but it just has to come, it all has to come together. And only if that is the case, then you can see those kind of results. So yeah, definitely was my biggest error result there too of Austria. I remember like dropping guys like Pavel Sivakov on the climbs or other like super like strong climbers. Yeah, I just was in peak shape at that point in time, and yeah, I just really felt like motivated and just was really happy about how it went. And then yeah, those kind of results can turn up. So that is the real potential I actually have and probably still have. But yeah, it just all has to come together, I guess.
Super impressive, and it must have felt really good. But you said about that, you touched a little bit on the turnoffs, and that, can you let us know what led your decision to leave road cycling and focus on esports? Is that also something to do with the team dynamics? I always wonder what happens on those buses.
Yeah, of course, like every team, they have like their one or two superstars, I'd say. Like in our team, Alpecin, it was, of course, like Mathieu and Philipsen. However, I was a bit luckier as I was more of a climber, so I hardly did any races with Mathieu or Jasper. So I also got my chances here and there at the races. I have to say, like, it was never like super strict. So I was given chances for certain races for sure. So couldn't blame Alpecin for any of that. Yeah, but like I said, there's just so many variables. You can like, if you really wanna push through and like have big success, you really have to like win a World Tour stage race, in my opinion. And in order to keep building on your career and like really make the most out of it. But yeah, just to doing that is like, it almost feels like playing the lottery. Yeah. But in the end, like what made my decision more clear is that like, yeah, first of all, like I had an injury also going on, which I shouldn't forget to mention. Like I had some problems with my right leg that was like really concerning me, and it turned out to be actually kind of the hip, but then also not the hip, and was all like messed up. Then in the end, I think it was just the nerve that turned out to be irritated by some wrong cycling insoles for my shoes on the right side that were just not correct, and that really compressed my whole leg, the right leg, and just irritated the nerve. And then yeah, just like downward spiraled my performance. And then I've all got it fixed now, luckily. So I'm good. I'm training again. I don't have any problems anymore with the leg. I'm at the moment I'm keep progressing. I'm almost doing PB numbers, so that's good. But yeah, I just wanted to have the freedom back of like choosing my own goals, what I want to race, and where my passion just lies. And just like this World Tour racing just wasn't it for me anymore. Like I always knew I was good at e-cycling, like just having like podiumed every year. I knew that this is my thing. There's my potential. But at the same time, I also just didn't want it to completely just dial it in on the e-cycling and just do nothing else. Like this year, I also have plans in the gravel scene. So I also want to keep the contact to the outside world and not completely just do e-cycling and turn myself inside out. And then like this is like the two things I want to focus on for this year, like gravel and esports. So I've got some exciting goals for gravel racing, and we will see how it will go in the first few races.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to ask you more about your future plans, but I just want to touch on World Tour. I think, like you said, you knew you were good at esports and you had the opportunity to go to World Tour. If you have the talents, why not? And you went out there, you were successful. Like you said, you were on the CG, you won, you placed really well in some stages on Tour de Austria, which is amazing. But you also saw that it wasn't for you. You want to do other things. You want to have more freedom. And it's right. Like with cycling, so many things have to align perfectly for you to be successful. It's not like, I'm not a big runner, but I'm just thinking running, it's just shoes. With cycling, you have the bike and there's so many components there. But you went out there, gave your best, that you saw that maybe it's not for you, maybe for now. And now you're back on the scene and you're getting into gravel, you said. So what are the plans in 2025? Because I know your girlfriend, Kate, was at the Gravel Worlds in 2024.
Yeah, exactly. So that is also like a reason that has ignited my interest in gravel racing. When I was at the World Champs with Kate, I saw like the whole competition basically, and it looked really exciting, looked really cool, and got me thinking that I have to try this as well. And despite that, like I've been using the gravel bike a lot in training over the past few years. I just really, really love it. It's a nice way of just doing cycling in another way. And like whenever I get bored on the roads, I just switch to the gravel bike. You see completely different things, different nature, and it just switches up everything and kind of still keeps you in the cycling training routine. But then again, like you feel like you're doing something completely different. So that's, I think, a nice part of it. Yeah, and definitely want to get into the racing then this year. But first goals on the list, I think now is Santaval, because it's already in February. It starts on the 15th to 16th, I believe, and it's for me it's pretty easy as I will be living here in Girona. It's easy with travel and stuff, so it's a good first race, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Spain has so many races, especially in Girona and around Girona. So you definitely get a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, so that will be like my first race. Then I got some other on the list. Wörthersee Gravel is the one where I want to qualify for gravel worlds. But like, obviously we have to see if it doesn't work out on that one. I just choose another one to get that qualification spot. And then maybe something like Unbound, which is, still a big question mark on the list, because obviously you have to sort out all the logistics and travel and stuff, because it's kind of a big deal. So I have to figure that all out with the sponsors and everything. Then, the Gravel Earth series, some races there, and
Yeah, a lot of fun ones on that one.
Yeah. So there's many races actually to come, and I'm like I have like a provisional program that I want to do, but I'm also like open to change the program on the fly if I ever see like some races that might be interesting, or if I get like an invitation or whatever. Who knows? We will see.
Yeah.
But I've got some great sponsors now that are also very eager. I'm in the esports scene, and I want to proceed and with the gravel stuff. So that is quite exciting and will definitely help. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how are you reconciling all these gravel races with esports? How does the esports races work? Like, when do they start, and how do you qualify to go to the World Championship? And
Yeah. So like I basically am racing like every week. I'm on my whoosh. I'm doing a Sunday race club since already like 3 years, I believe. So that's like, it's kind of a go-to thing I keep doing week in, week out. And yeah, then it's pretty much like looking at the World Championships. It's like an off-season thing. Like you qualify, I think the qualifier this year was in August. So to qualify for the esports World Champs thing, you have to do the first of all, you have to be selected by your federation. Then you are like basically allowed to go to the semifinals, and then from the semifinals, the top 20 get selected to fly to Abu Dhabi to the live finals. So that's like the procedure you have to go through. And then from, I think it was 150 athletes at the semifinals, then only getting in the top 20 was already tough. And then but once you've achieved that, then you get invited. And luckily, like My Rouge covered all the costs and the flights for the athletes and everything. So
awesome.
That was really, really nice.
And do you have any rituals or routines that help you stay focused and prepare for big events, both esports and now? I don't know if you have done any gravel races yet.
Routines, yeah. Like, of course, I have like my kind of racing routines. Obviously, if it's hilly races, you're gonna have to have an eye on your weight, obviously. So, kind of want to make sure I keep, like, my girlfriend is pretty good at that, at helping me out with that as a nutritionist, to dial my nutrition in towards the competition so that I have the optimal race weight. So obviously keeping the fibers low shortly before competitions so that, yeah, you're nice and light at race day. But then also like to dial in the training, which is, I think, even more important, so that you are obviously not too fatigued on race day and you pretty much fine tune your training, that you're activated enough on race day, and B, not too fatigued, obviously. So that's always a balance. But yeah, my coach is pretty good at that, and we kind of nail it, I think, more often than enough. So yeah, those are probably the most important factors. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Obviously it's different from athlete to athlete also. Yeah. I forgot to say, like, you see athletes that like need maybe a little bit more fatigue in races or before the races, or athletes that just like to rest a bit more, and that's like just personal, I think, and everyone is different. But I can share like what I do, but like it doesn't mean that it would work for everyone else. So you kind of have to find out yourself what works and what not. But I think over the past few years, I had enough time to dial it in. So
yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Every individual is different. I have friends that like to continue the same amount of training. If they diminish or stop, they feel more sluggish, while I need a little bit of rest. Otherwise, I'm too tired to race. So it really depends from person to person, indeed.
Yeah.
And you said you have sponsors. Are these sponsors for you as an individual, or it depends on the sport? Like esports versus gravel?
Yeah, every sponsor has like their different interests. No? It's like, it's dependent on the marketing, what kind of goals they have. But I think I have a good mix of both in the gravel world, but also esports. Many of them combine both quite well, so that's pretty easy. But yeah, like I think it's pretty good combinable. Yeah.
I just have some fire chat questions now, just fun and lighthearted. What's your favorite ride snack?
Favorite ride snack? Ooh, that's a good one. I really like Rice Krispie treats, although it's quite hard to get them in Europe. You have to bake them yourself. Or I like flapjacks my girlfriend is making with some dried apricots inside, and that is also quite nice. Yeah,
Yummy.
so like pretty solid food I prefer over gels and all the liquid stuff, especially on longer rides. I want to have the feeling I'm just eating normal stuff and not like all this gels and artificial or like, yeah, just the race fuel. I want to avoid that on the longer training sessions because you do get sick of it kind of once you do like those interval sessions and you chuck down like loads of gels, and that's just gets too much sometimes. So I really do enjoy like the solid foods.
Yeah, me too.
Or just leave a banana.
Oh, banana.
Or
Yeah.
just-
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with a banana. And tell me, most memorable race, rowing or cycling?
Most memorable race. Yeah, I guess it's a pretty clear answer. I think it's the Olympics in Tokyo, definitely, because it was just always a childhood dream. Since I started sports, I started with rowing first, and I never wanted to quit rowing until I got that Olympic medal. So definitely that was the most favorable memory.
I thought you would say that. And tell me, e-race or an outdoor climb? What would be your pick?
Ooh. Depends on the format also, but I'd say if it's both a long climb on e-racing or outside, yeah, it's too many variables. It's a difficult question. It really depends. Like if I'm in a race outdoors and it's like an uphill time trial, maybe I prefer that. But if it's a real race, like a road race with an uphill finish on a long climb, I maybe prefer the e-race because it's just a bit shorter and just a bit less painful. And
Yeah. I'll opt for less pain as well. What's one song in your training playlist you can't live without?
oh, that's also difficult. I really like whenever I'm doing hard intervals, I just like to have like some tunes that really pump me up and really something like Scooter or some like techno hardstyle, something really with a lot of action to just keep like, keep on it and not like fall asleep.
Yeah, very upbeat. And if you could race alongside any athlete, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, I really think would like to go for a ride with Lance Armstrong, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because,
cool.
I mean, he had quite a negative past, but also like the way he pursued out of it and like how he is now and what he's doing now is very impressive. And I admire him as an athlete, despite the past, but I think he made a lot out of his life and even up to date. So it's kind of a person I look up to and would be cool to ride with him.
Yeah, that would be cool. A cool charity ride.
Exactly.
What's your guilty pleasure food after a tough ride or race?
Ooh. Well, I think like either Reese's peanut butter cups or some salty crisps. That would be like.
I like that choice. And describe your perfect rest day in 3 words.
three words. Coffee, massage, and the third one, sleep in. Just sleep in, have good coffee, and a massage.
Sounds like a perfect rest day. Awesome, Jason. Thank you so much. Anything else you would like to share?
Well, I think said pretty much everything. I think I'm good. If there's anything, other questions.
I think that's all I had. I want to wish you an amazing 2025 season and a great debut in the gravel scene. I'm sure we're going to be hearing about you, and I'll see you in Girona.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and catch up in Girona.
Thanks, Jason. And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.